Hello and welcome whenever and wherever you might be listening to us today on your favorite podcast platform. You have landed on the Guambai podcast. Guambai, brought to you by the Dildo Brewing Company and Museum. The Dildo Brewing Company and Museum, located in beautiful community of Dildo, Newfoundland, sister city to Hollywood, California, and home of the iconic dildo sign erected by Jimmy Kimmel himself, honorary mayor of Dildo. My name is Kevin George. I'm a preacher here in London, Ontario. Welcome.
And I am Darryl George. I'm here in Whiteway, Newfoundland, Labrador. I'm the teacher who is here to school the preacher.
Well, buddy, you got your hands full.
So welcome to episode 2. We got a great episode today, Kevin.
Oh, fantastic.
Got some good questions for you, all about Newfoundland, Labrador politicians and performers.
Wicked. I can't wait. Now, speaking of performers, today we're introducing a new segment here. The last time I turned the tables on you a little bit by asking you 2 or 3 questions, but they were all too easy. So this time we thought we'd spin her right around and we'll bring on a guest. And so we're introducing a new segment here. And the segment is called World Famous in Newfoundland. And we call it World Famous in Newfoundland in homage to Ed Smith. God bless him. He was a legend in Newfoundland, and I was fortunate to get to know him. And Ed used to say to me, Kevin, yes, boy, I'm world famous in Newfoundland. And so this is a tip of the hat to Ed. World Famous in Newfoundland, special guest every episode. And with a new segment comes a new sponsor, and we're welcoming Crooked Arse Creations. Crooked Arse Creations, clothing and wares. Some you'll like, some you won't, whatever. And we're real excited that our inaugural guest will be Chris Andrews from Shanneyganock. So we're pretty excited about that, Darryl?
No, this is absolutely awesome. Great new segment. Really exciting to get an opportunity to speak with all these Newfoundland celebrities, and not so excited about having the opportunity to try to go up against them because that wasn't the original idea here, right? But looking forward to lots of fun, and great to have a new sponsor on board as well. We've been really pleased with the response on social media. Certainly happy with all the comments and people playing along on the Facebook page and on Twitter to some of the questions that we've been posting. Certainly encourage you all to keep it coming. And in that light, we had a question that we posted on Facebook about that time in grade 6 where I ate crow playing Reach for the Top.
What happened to you?
Oh, well, I might have got a question wrong there at the end of the lightning round.
Now, as I remember you telling the story, the question was, what's the black thing you see flying around school all the time? Your answer was?
Cow.
Cow, yes. And that was what the skill testing question was for anybody who commented and shared. And we had a lot of comments, and they're all in the Newfoundland Labrador hat here. And I'm just going to draw a name, and we'll have a winner of a $25 gift certificate from the Dildo Brewing Company and Museum. So awesome. Our sponsor is right in there. And the winner is, and just so Darryl can see proof, you folks at home won't because you're not, but this is Lisa Worthman. Oh, fantastic.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Lisa.
One of the things we promised we would do on here is if we got something wrong, which is not very often if you're George, but if we got something wrong, we would gladly be corrected. So
well, we get a lot wrong, but we don't like admitting it.
Well, we don't believe we got it wrong. So here's the deal. The deal is this segment every episode will be called No Buy. No buy. You didn't get that right. No buy. So what's our no buy this week?
Thankfully, only received one. Yeah. My good friends, Melanie and Steve Pinsent, let us know that we might have gotten one item. Melanie and Steve are regulars at the Dildo Brewery Trivia Night, and
nice.
They are fantastic trivia players themselves, and so I appreciate them doing a little correction for us. But we did say that Kirsten Moray was the only Newfoundlander to appear on Jeopardy. Apparently, there was at least one other Newfoundlander, a gentleman by the name of Trevor Janes, who was originally from Grand Falls, Windsor, apparently appeared in 2009. But he was living in Ottawa at the time, apparently. So,
okay.
But still Newfoundlander. Once a Newfoundlander, always a Newfoundlander. Right?
Well, that's what I say. I'm here. I've been stuck here for 25 years. I still claim to be a Newfoundlander. So now we got a winner. We got our no buys. We got all that out of the way. I guess there's no other moment, not another minute I could waste away not to have to face the music here in terms of this trivia stuff, right? What's the first category?
First category today is politicians. And I know that you are a huge politics nerd for sure.
I am.
He loves it.
I am a nerd.
You've watched a lot of politics, and they still do. I know on a
Oh,
daily
yes.
basis. Now, politicians, boy, that's a bit of a big category when you're talking about Newfoundland.
That's huge.
Because when you think about Newfoundland, that's one of the things you think about is politicians, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Trying to come up with a way to tackle this was a bit of a chore. What I kind of settled on was just to try out with some firsts.
Okay.
Before I do that, I am going to give you just a little warm-up question like we did last time on a Newfoundland word or saying.
Oh boy.
So this is just to kind of get you
Loosen up here.
Newfoundland juices flowing.
Okay, let's just
Right?
loosen up here. Do a little.
Because I know you're all the way up there in Ontario.
Yeah,
and
long way
that's
away.
Big distance away. So here's the word is Dumbledore.
Oh, Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. Now Dumbledore, that's pretty famous now in
Yes.
literature, right?
Yes.
Famous wizard. But long before Harry Potter here in
Yeah.
Newfoundland, a Dumbledore was something else. Do you know what it was? So here's the three choices. You got a foolish or clumsy person,
Okay.
a strong wave,
Yeah.
or a bumblebee.
I'll go with a foolish or a clumsy person.
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
Better known here in Newfoundland as a busy bee.
A busy bee. Yes.
We call them
Yes.
busy bees.
Busy
Boy.
bees are Dumbledores. I don't know any of this stuff, but I'm
I don't mind you getting bumblebee around, but not knowing that we call a bumblebee
Busy
a
bee. That's true. We do call them busy
Anyway.
bees. All right.
It's
I'm loose.
this is going to be a long episode.
It is too. I'm loose. Bring it on. Let's see what we got.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
We'll start at the beginning, I guess, in terms of the first. Well, politicians, they need somewhere to meet, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the first legislature.
Okay. All right. First
so we're going to
legislation.
go all the way back to 1833.
Oh,
a long
yeah.
time ago.
Right on. I can
So-
remember that.
You can. So in 1833, we had a type of government called representative government. It wasn't very democratic. They did have a House of Assembly, but boys really didn't have a whole lot of power. They could only recommend laws, and the council, the appointed council, and the governor had all the power. Nevertheless, they still had to get together and have their debates. And I'm going to give you four choices here now, because I don't think you're going to get this one right off, because I don't think this was in your grade 5 history book. I don't think this was on the first test or anything. Where was the first legislature in St. John's held to? What type of building or place did they hold the first legislature in 1833? Was it at the courthouse? Was it at the brewery owned by Charles Fox Bennett? Was it at Fort Townsend? Or was it at a local tavern?
Oh boy. Well, I got to say, I was about to make a joke when you were asking the question about the meeting at local brewery at the tavern. Like,
Yeah.
but it was really a joke. But then you went ahead and put it in the answers. It's like, if I was to guess, I'd say at a tavern.
Well, you got the first question right today.
Oh,
buddy. You're doing, that's a good job. Yeah, they
Where'd they make green sleeves or what? Or was it the Majestic?
It would have been awesome if this particular tavern had been on George Street, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah, but it's not, is it?
But no.
No.
But it wasn't St. John's. It was actually across from the current war memorial site.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where they met. They had the appointed council met upstairs, properly, of course.
Properly,
and
upper room.
The assembly met downstairs. Now, I don't know. I guess that's probably where the beer was flowing. I'm not sure. And it was actually, we know that the lady that owned it was a lady by the name of Mary Travers.
Okay.
And there was a bit of a problem actually, because they didn't pay her bills. So do you know what? Do you know what she did?
What'd she do?
She decided to sell the speaker's chair, the desk, the sergeant at arms regalia, the mace, the sword, the hat, the whole thing at an auction.
No, come on.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, absolutely. So the next year, when they met at the courthouse, they discovered they had some papers missing. It was left in the desk. And anyway, they had to go looking for it. And I think, I'm not 100% sure on this piece, but I think they actually bought back some of this stuff.
They found the stuff. Come on.
So I guess Mary got some of her money back. You know who the first president of the United States was?
George Washington, right? And,
you know who the first prime minister of Canada was?
John A. McDonald. Yeah.
There you go. You're coming along.
Yeah.
But here's a harder one.
Yeah.
Who was the first prime minister of Newfoundland?
I think this is wrong, but I'm going to say William Valence Whiteway.
That's good. That's a good guess. William Valence Whiteway, of course, the fellow who our hometown was named after. Significant prime minister, no doubt about it. I'll give you four choices.
Okay.
Ambrose Shea,
Mhm.
Philip Little, Edward Morris, or Hugh Hoyles.
For fun, I'll say Ambrose Shea.
Ambrose Shea. Remember we took a trip on the Ambrose Shea
Ooh,
ferry a
legendary.
long time ago. Very, very windy night.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Ambrose Shea, although he was a significant politician back in the day. It was Philip Little, or Philip Francis Little.
Okay.
And Philip Francis Little was actually from PEI. He wasn't from Newfoundland originally. He actually helped get responsible government in PEI.
Yeah.
And he came to Newfoundland and then started working for it here. And once they got it, he actually became the first prime minister. In fact, he actually ended up marrying into a wealthy Irish family and moved to Ireland and actually worked for home rule there as well. So he's quite an active guy.
So he was busy franchising responsible government.
Everywhere he went.
Okay. Hey, I'm here. Philip here. Phil here. I'm here to bring you responsible government. Don't worry.
He was the McDonald's of responsible government. Once they got responsible government in 1855, do you know where they met then?
At the courthouse?
No.
Just
think about that for a second.
In 1855, they met at what is Government House now, didn't they?
Yeah. It's called the Colonial Building.
Colonial Building, yeah.
It's down on Military Road, right?
Yeah.
So actually, the guy who designed the building, James Purcell, he was also a superintendent on the building of our Roman Catholic Cathedral, actually.
Oh, it makes sense.
So here's a question for you on the Colonial Building.
Yeah.
How much did it cost in today's money to build the Colonial Building?
You're going to give me some choices.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 2.5 million, 4.5 million, 8 million, or $17 million in today's money. I
will go with 4.5 million.
On the nose. You got
on the nose. Look at that. As another correct question for Kevin George.
It was 18,335 pounds, which today, by my calculations, would be about $4.5 million.
Yes, buddy.
Good. Actually, just a little tie into our local area. The two ceilings in the two chambers in the Colonial Building actually are paintings from a fresco painter by the name of Alexander Pindakowski. There is a tie-in locally. He came here in 1880, and he actually went to Heart's Content to teach art, believe it or not.
Really?
But unfortunately, Alexander had this thing where he was cashing some forged checks in St. John's at one point. So he got in trouble. He got arrested and got convicted and sentenced to 15 months in jail. So to shorten his sentence, the government found out that this guy was hanging out with them. They were paying his room and board, and they got him to paint the ceilings.
Oh, and perfect.
And for that all that work, they reduced his time in jail by 1 month.
Oh, wicked, buddy! Nice ceiling, and you can get out a month early.
So they're renovating the Colonial Building now, of course, and not sure how much that's costing, but I probably think it's probably more than 4.5 million.
Probably more than 18.
It's going to be great. Once they get it done, to be able to go in and have a look. Right. I think what they're going to do, it's going to be like a political history museum, that type of thing. So nice. Next time you come on, once that opens, we'll definitely be in there, won't we?
That'll be a visit. Yep.
What side of the speaker, the speaker being the person who moderates the debate in the House of Assembly, what side of the speaker does the governing party sit on in the Newfoundland House of Assembly, even to this day?
I believe it's on the left side, which is unusual because in the Commons, it's on the right side.
Correct. You got it.
Yeah.
It's on the left side. It's more traditional to be on the right side of the speaker, obviously.
Yeah.
So that is unusual because in the British tradition, it's on the right side. Do you know why?
I believe the way the light used to come in through the window in the Colonial Building would get in the Prime Minister's eyes if he sat on the other side. So he said, I don't want light in my eyes, and I'm going to sit on the other side.
That might have been an additional reason. Not the one I've got here.
Okay.
The reason that I seem to have found is that the heaters.
Oh, we want heat.
On the left-hand side. And
same idea.
The government boys decided we want to be next to the heaters.
Yeah.
So they chose to sit near the heat. And,
so what you're
over in the cold.
What you're saying is over on the opposition, they were going, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, can I have a sweater?
They were froze to death.
Froze to death.
Newfoundland Labrador joined Canada in 1949.
Or as I like to remind people here, Canada joined Newfoundland in 1949.
A much better way of looking at it. I would agree. Yeah. So this is a real easy one for you. You know who the first premier of Newfoundland Labrador was, do you?
Oh, J.R. Smallwood.
Oh, you got it, boy. You're on fire here today again. Boy, I'll tell you what. I thought I was going to stump you on a lot of these.
Yeah, well, now to get me on Joey Smallwood. Come on.
So he was actually the longest serving of any of our leaders, right from going back to Philip Francis Little, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He served from 1949 to 1972. Joey Smallwood, of course, you know where he was born, do you?
Mintbrook. Well, he's from Mintbrook. Gambo, Mintbrook.
Okay, from the Gambo, Mintbrook area.
Yeah.
You probably don't know why he was there at the time to be born, or why his family was there, or why his father and mother were there.
Pig farming?
No, he did do some pig
I know
farming
he
himself
did pig
later.
farming, but why were they there?
Actually,
I feel like I noticed, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, he was there. Well, actually, his grandfather had started one of the first sawmills in Bonavista Bay in Gambo many years before this. But that's not really what reason why they were there directly. His father actually had taken a job there as a surveyor of lumber. So he ended up being born there in 1900, I guess it was. Joey was born. But they didn't. He didn't stay there his whole life.
No.
He didn't stay in Gambo his whole life. My only question I'm going to ask you on Joey Smallwood, because Joey Smallwood was such a big topic. I mean, we could spend a whole couple hours on Joey Smallwood alone. So my only question I'm going to ask you on Joey Smallwood is, how old was Joey when he left Gambo? So I can give you 4 choices if you want, unless you know it right off.
No, I think I better take the choices.
Okay, so the choices are A, 1 year old, B, 5, C, 11, or D, 14.
I'll be honest. All of that is younger than I would have thought for any of it. So I'll say he left when he was 5.
He actually left. 1 is not really the right answer, but I couldn't put it there without giving it away. He wasn't quite 1, but he was almost.
He was an infant.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that, because I thought he left when he was like, an adult or something like that.
So politically, of course, Joey always kind of made himself look like he was the man of the outports and so on, right? But Joey was actually a townie, really. He grew up and spent most of his formative years in St. John's.
Well, our father was a big fan of Joey Smallwood. There was a picture of Joey in the shed or out in the workshop. And I believe he had a picture on the wall of his bedroom. He really loved Joey Smallwood.
Yeah, no, I think there was pictures in several places in the house, actually. Everywhere I looked, there was a picture of Joey.
If it wasn't Joey Smallwood,
and the best one of all was the 3D one, right?
The 3D one. Yeah.
No matter which way you looked at it, like Joey was following there or something. Now, a bit of a stretch on the next one for a first, but I'm going to say the first premier not named Joey Smallwood.
Oh, Frank Moores.
Frank Moores, yeah. Now here's the first question on Frank Moores.
Oh, so that wasn't the question?
No, that was just that's a giveaway. That's a giveaway.
Okay, all right.
I'd be interested to see if you get this one right.
Okay.
Where was Frank Moores born and raised?
Oh, I would make a guess, but I'd be afraid it was wrong. But I'll take multiple guesses.
So the one that you're going to guess is in the 4, no doubt.
Okay.
Carbonear, Harbor Grace, St. John's, or Bay Roberts.
Carbonear is what I was going to say off the top.
Oh, well, good for you, because that's not what I would have said prior to looking that up. I always thought he was from Harbor Grace, to be honest with you, mainly because of the stadium there, of course.
Right,
and,
yes.
Right, and the fish plant and so on.
Yeah.
No, he was the son of a fellow by the name of Silas Moores, of course, who the stadium was named after, S.W. Moores Memorial Stadium. And Silas Moores was the owner of Northeastern Fisheries, which, believe it or not, at one time was one of the largest fish operations in North America. Didn't really realize that.
Guam
by.
Okay.
So late 60s, Frank Moores entered federal politics, actually. First, he was federal. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that or not.
I don't think I knew that.
He became a federal MP for the district that we live in, actually, Bonavista Trinity Exception.
Yeah.
And it was significant, actually, because it was during Trudeau mania.
Okay.
And he ran as a progressive conservative, and we only have 7 seats in Newfoundland, Labrador, and the Conservatives won 6 out of those 7 seats. So it was a real bucking the trend while Trudeau swept the country. Here in Joey Smallwood dominated Newfoundland, the Frank Moores led progressive conservatives.
Wicked.
But he didn't stay long. He left, of course, and came back to Newfoundland and became party leader and eventually premier. Here's my couple of more questions on Frank.
Okay.
First one is about slogans, campaign slogans. I don't know if this rings a bell for you or not. Which of the following slogans were slogans that Frank Moores used around this time in both those elections, in the federal election as well as his election to become premier.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 5 choices. You pick the ones, and there's 2. You got to pick 2 of these. So the first one, Smallwood's time is up. Second one is Frank will spank the Liberals. It is time. It won't be long now. And the time has come. Which 2 of those would you pick as Frank Moore's campaign slogans?
I think Smallwood's, what was the first one you said?
Smallwood's time is up.
I think that's one of them. The other one is the time has come.
Good guesses.
Yeah,
because they were all good.
Neither one of them is right.
I can't believe you wouldn't pick Frank will spank the Liberals. I mean, I think
that is totally a Darrylism right there.
So the answers are the first one is it won't be long now, and that was a slogan he actually used in his federal campaign.
Okay,
and there's no doubt that even in the federal campaign here in Newfoundland at that time, you were still taking on Joey Smallwood. Pierre Trudeau was not the opponent. It was Joey Smallwood, right?
Yes, yeah.
And the second one you did get right, though. The time has come is the slogan that he used in the 71 campaign. One additional little question on Frank Moores before we leave him, because I thought it was interesting. He has or was inducted into the Newfoundland Labrador Hockey Hall of Fame, believe it or not.
Wicked.
For what reason did he receive this honor? Was it because A, he was an outstanding senior hockey player? Was it because of his contribution to minor hockey and Newfoundland Senior Hockey League during his time as premier? Or was it his role in building the CB senior hockey team that won 4 championships during the 50s and 60s?
I'll go with C.
You got her. He was instrumental, actually.
He was entered in the builders category.
He was a builder. He not only the building of the arena, but also the establishment of that dynasty of the 60s. So moving from that, I'll give you this one. The first female MHA. Who was the first woman elected to Newfoundland House of Assembly post-Confederation? Here's your guesses. And so it's one of 3 on this one. It's getting easier all the time. Yeah. But all 3 of them are quite possible candidates. The first one is Grace Sparks. Second one, Hazel McIsaac. And the third one is Lynn Verge.
I'll go with Hazel McIsaac.
You're right again.
Oh, that was not only a blind guess.
You are a political junkie. I'll tell you.
No, that's a blind guess.
Politics.
Where was she elected?
Hazel McIsaac was actually the first one. She was born in Robinson. She was actually mayor. She was actually councillor, town clerk, town manager, and deputy mayor and mayor of the community of St. George's on the West Coast. Okay. And she represented the district of St. George's for the Liberal Party in 1975. And so there you go. Wow. She was the first female member of the House of Assembly. Okay. Well, who was the first female cabinet minister? I'll give you names on this one, but you can guess if you'd like.
If I was going to guess without, I'd say Lynn Verge, but go ahead and give me some.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that one. Lynn Verge was one of the first, but there's two first.
She wasn't the first, was she?
She was. There were 2 first because two women were
brought in at the same time.
Were appointed to cabinet at the same time.
Okay.
The other choices are Hazel Newhook, Kathy Dunderdale.
Oh, well, I shouldn't say with confidence, but I'd say Hazel Newhook.
It was. So Hazel Newhook and Lynn Verge were both appointed in 1979 by, I would imagine, Brian Peckford. Yeah. Hazel, also a remarkable woman. She was a businesswoman, mayor of Gander from 1973 to 77, and then, of course, cabinet minister in government. Lynn Verge, she was a lawyer, of course, from Corner Brook, and she served as an MHA from 1979 to 1996. And at one point before leaving politics, she was actually leader of the PC party and opposition leader. So what about the first female premier then? Let's finish out that category.
Well, that's Kathy Dunderdale.
That certainly is Kathy Dunderdale, 2010 to 2014. I'm going to give you a quote by Kathy Dunderdale. You tell me what event she's talking about. Here's the quote. "We're in a critical time, but are we in a crisis? Not at this moment. We're not. We're not in a crisis." What was she referring to?
I feel like that was the time I was at your place and the power went out and everything started to freeze up and she was nowhere to be found.
you were at my place at that time, actually. 2014. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, everybody
was Christmas.
Was blowing a living gale,
and we were froze to death.
Yeah, we were froze to death. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was called Dark NL, right?
Yes. Yeah.
2014. Who was the first premier in Newfoundland to be born after Confederation?
That's a good question. I will say Brian Tobin.
You got her. Brian
Yep.
Tobin was the first post-Confederation. Actually, the first, so well, you could say he's the first premier we had that was born a Canadian.
I am first generation Canadian. That's what I tell people I am. Because dad and mom were not. So yeah.
Do you know where Brian Tobin was born? I'll give you four choices.
Yep. Give me four. Give me four choices.
Just because. Corner Brook, Stephenville, Deer Lake, or Goose Bay.
Stephenville.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. You know your Brian Tobin.
Wicked today, Guambai. I was there, sure. I was there, sure.
You're a Brian Tobin aficionado. Hey, let's keep it going then.
Okay, keep it.
One of his first jobs ever. One of his first jobs. I didn't have this as a question, but since you're so good at Brian Tobin, do you know what he worked at?
He was he worked with the CBC as a reporter.
Boy, that's pretty close. It was actually NTV or NBC at the time. I think it was called. Okay, but it was very brief. But soon after that, of course, as happens with a lot of reporters, they get hired by politicians to help them out. And he soon after began working for federal MP here in Newfoundland and a cabinet minister. What was that fellow's name? I can give you four choices here, or you can guess it right off top because I think you know everything about Brian Tobin.
So I'll say Don Jameson.
Right on, my son. So I gotta ask you one more. Now.
I'm running the board here. I'm running the board, folks. The board.
Will you get this one though?
Oh no, not likely.
Last question on Brian Tobin. First elected as an MP in an election in 1980. How old was he?
24.
Do you want some choices?
26.
I'm not even going to give you choices now. You're all around it. He's 25.
Yeah. He's 25 on both sides of it.
That's
come on. I should get a half a point for being that close to how old he was. 24 is a pretty good guess.
I'll give you a quarter of a point. 25, but you did a great job on Brian Tobin, buddy. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
you must have liked Brian Tobin.
I must have been watching a lot of news at that particular time.
Yeah. Moving right along with the premiers, first premier to get elected, his government to get elected, and for him to actually lose his own seat. Who was that?
Tom Rideout.
No, it was in the election where Tom Rideout ran to be premier.
Okay.
So it was Clyde Wells.
Oh, it was Clyde Wells. Yes. In fact, now that you say that, I was too quick to answer that.
I think he may be the first person to be elected where his party got elected and he became premier. Didn't win the seat. So who did he lose his seat to? Do you remember that?
Do I get multiple guess on this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Was it Len Sims, Lynn Verge, Tom Blanchard, or Loyola Sullivan?
Well, I feel like it was Lynn Verge.
It was. Yeah. Lynn Verge actually defeated him. He took Lynn Verge on in Corner Brook and he lost. Yeah.
And then who gave up their seat for to?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was going to ask you, actually, which is who gave up their seat to allow Clyde Wells to get elected into the House of Assembly? And the hint would be that this person is still an MHA to this day.
No, I'm not going to get it.
So that is none other than Eddie Joyce.
Eddie Joyce, yes, my goodness.
Currently sits as an independent, actually, or not as a liberal anymore. But he actually gave up his seat so that Clyde Wells could get elected. What about the first premier who wasn't born in Newfoundland? So the four choices are Frank Moores, Roger Grimes, Kathy Dunderdale, or Tom Marshall. Which one of those four? And to my knowledge, the only premier we've ever had that wasn't born in Newfoundland or Labrador.
Oh, I did blind guess. Tom Marshall.
Your blind guesses are pretty good today, boy. Tom Marshall was not born in Newfoundland.
Where was he born?
Born in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. Got a couple more here on first, just a couple. What about the first premier we ever had to have the illustrious career of being a teacher?
Teacher. I believe that was Roger Grimes.
Got to go back a little bit further than Roger Grimes.
A little bit further will be Tom.
I'll give you one more guess.
Is it Tommy Boy Rideout? No, Brian Peckford.
Brian Peckford.
I knew that. I had to think about that. Brian Peckford. The pride of Southbrook.
Yeah, down in our grandmother and grandfather's neck of the woods.
I knew he was a teacher
down there.
I had to think about that. Yep.
In fact, I think the school, or there was a school down
There
there
is
named
a
after
school
him, I
down there named
believe.
that. Yeah.
Or there was anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know where he was born though? I had to ask you this. I couldn't pass over Brian Peckford without asking this.
Was he
given
born?
the,
Was he born in Springdale?
well, no, I'm asking you this question because of the proximity to our little
Yeah.
hometown here.
Yeah. Well, I know he's from Soapbrook, or like, isn't that where he's from? Soapbrook?
No, he ended up living there, but that's
Yeah.
not where he was from.
Robert's Arm.
He actually moved around. His father.
Tell me
was
what. Don't tell me he was born on Pilley's Island.
No, he
Oh.
was born in Whitburn.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I was thinking I was thinking proximity to our grandmother, but
Oh, I see.
proximity to us.
Yeah. No, you weren't listening. I said proximity to our hometown.
Okay. All right. Okay.
You got to listen, Kevin.
I talk more than I listen.
So you've already got. I was going to ask you this piece too. You already got a couple of them. Which of the other premiers that we've had have been teachers?
Well, I think Tom Rideout.
Peckford was one. You got Tom Rideout.
And Roger Grimes.
Roger Grimes was actually president of the NLTA.
Yeah. Are there more?
There's one more. Probably be a bit difficult because he wasn't premier for very long.
Oh yeah, was that? Yeah, and since I've been away.
Yeah.
Beaton Tulk, was that his
Beaton Tulk? Yeah.
Beaton Tulk, is that his name? Yeah, I had to think about that. Yeah.
Last question on premiers. I promise.
You promise? Because listen, we gotta get our segment in. That it's time for you to start answering questions.
No, I'm having too much fun asking the questions.
Yeah.
So the first premier, how about this one? The first premier, this is the last one I'll ask. The first premier, this is the smartest question of the whole lot.
Okay. And to the dumbest fool, you could ask it. Okay.
The first premier to have a Rhodes Scholarship, to be a Rhodes Scholar.
That'd be Danny Williams.
You got her.
Final answer.
Final answer. Danny Williams. It was the first premier that we've had to be a Rhodes Scholar. Now you know the difference between a Rhodes Scholar and a Rhodes Scholar, do you?
Well, yes, Dad was a Rhodes Scholar. He used to work on the roads of the Department of Highways.
a Rhodes Scholar are book smart.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
A Rhodes Scholar,
yeah,
they're street smart.
Street smart. Very nicely done, Darryl.
Do you know any other politicians that were Rhodes Scholars here in Newfoundland?
In Newfoundland. Oh,
Bill Rowe, 1964.
Bill Rowe, of course. Bill Rowe is.
Ches Crosby, 1976. And actually a guy who tried to be a politician but didn't make it, Rex Murphy, 1968. Yeah. Danny was 1969. Ches Crosby was 1976. And that's it for the politicians' questions.
Thanks be to God. We finally got that done. Now it's time to have a little bit of fun now. Turn the tables on you. So this new segment is called World Famous in Newfoundland. World Famous in Newfoundland, brought to you by Crooked Arse Creations. Crooked Arse Creations, clothing and wear. Some you'll like, some you won't, whatever. And go to their webpage, which you'll find at crookedarse.com. And you can order all kinds of great stuff: mugs, hats, shirts, the whole works. There's these beautiful shirts with a picture of, I love this. It's a picture of Jesus and Mary Brown and Joey Smallwood. It's Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. It's just fantastic. So visit the folks at crookedarse.com. So we'd like to welcome our inaugural guest, who is certainly world famous in Newfoundland and known to everyone, in Chris Andrews. He's been singing now with one of Newfoundland's premier groups, Shanneyganock, for almost 30 years, over 25 years. Proud Newfoundlander, great sport, and I know he can take on Darryl. So let's welcome in Chris. Well, hello to our special guest, world famous in Newfoundland, Chris Andrews. You might even call him the Star of Logie Bay. How are you, Chris?
The disaster of Logie Bay. I'm pretty good. I'm well. Thanks for having me on today, guys. I'm excited about it.
Right on. Well, boy, I got to say that it's a real honor to have you on, because I've been out of Newfoundland now for 25 years. You and your mates there in Shanneyganock, you've been a great source of comfort to me for 25 years. For a wayward Newfoundlander, it's lovely to hear the music, and just to have you on and meet you is a great gift. So thank you for that.
We appreciate that, because that's thank you so much, because that's why we do it. Like, living too, but if it wasn't those kind of things that drew us to to continue this, and that's what it is that it's bringing, a lot of times with touring, it's bringing Newfoundland to people who can't get home.
Yes.
Or, helping remind people about home and help them not be so homesick. So, hear things like that makes me very happy.
For those who are listening to this here on the mainland, Shanneyganock is a fantastic Newfoundland band. If you haven't yet gone on iTunes or wherever else you need to go to buy this stuff, go get their music. And if that don't work, come over to my place. I'll pour you a beverage and we'll put it on the player and we'll let her rip. So
you'll explain it to them.
Oh yeah, I'll translate as we go. And listen, speaking of a way to make a living, I do want to make a plug if I can, to just say, I mean, I know during these COVID times, it's been really hard on performers. A lot of people who are in the gig economy have been kicked pretty hard through this. Really impressed to see what you and a lot of your friends in Newfoundland, Labrador did with Mind the Music. I wonder if you want to say a word about that and make a plug, because I know people can still donate. I know this because I just went online here and donated myself. So, so please tell people about Mind the Music.
Well, Mind the Music was a project put together by Music NL and Atlantic Music, I believe, which brought together 20 Newfoundland artists to raise money for mental health, and also some money to go to Music NL to its members, just to help out a bit. And so far, they've raised over $60,000, and there's some really good programs being set up for mental health, because, like you said, it's been devastating to our industry, and some hurting not as much as others, but a lot of people hurt, and it was just some help for people there, and we were thrilled to be part of it.
Now, Darryl, are you ready to have tables turned on you or what? See, Darryl is usually on the balance of these episodes, Chris. Darryl is usually abusing me with questions. So this is my chance.
I always watch out for the quiet one. See, that's what they said. The quiet.
Yeah, this wasn't part of the original plan, right? It was like we thought about it first. Was like, I'm gonna get a chance to just fire all these questions at Kevin, and that was going to be it, right? And so we're only into episode number 2, and he's got the tables turned on me already. And not only did he turn the tables on me, he goes and puts me up against people like yourself who know all kinds about Newfoundland culture, history, and so on. So he's not going to take it easy, Chris. He's not going to take it easy on me. I can tell you that.
I'm excited.
All the questions are geared towards Chris. No, not true. But listen, this is first installment. And so we're honored for you to be the inaugural guest, our first installment of World Famous in Newfoundland. Now, World Famous in Newfoundland, I got to tip the hat here to Ed Smith. Those of you listeners who grew up in Newfoundland would no doubt remember Ed was a great columnist, writer in Newfoundland, a satirist, funny man. I was fortunate to get to know him. And one of the things he used to say to me when I'd say, Ed, boy, I can't believe I'm talking to you even, getting grown up, reading you in the paper and stuff. He says, yes, Kevin, boy, I'm world famous in Newfoundland. And so this whole segment is a tip of the hat to Ed Smith. Let's get on with it. This is World Famous Newfoundland, brought to you by Crooked Arse Creations. Crooked Arse Creations now are in doing all kinds of great stuff. I love their Jesus, Joseph, and Mary t-shirts they got made. Right. Now
I saw that on the back of a car today.
So let me ask you, are you a crooked arse or not? You're not a crooked arse, are you, Chris?
I think that's well known that I am one of them sometimes.
Okay, all right. We're going to flip a coin here to see who goes first. I got 5 categories for you, okay? And I'll tell you the 5 categories, and then we're going to flip the coin. The first, here are the 5 categories, no specific order. Gordon Pinson, cod, Black History Month, nautical-inspired expressions, and royal visits. Everyone's favorite topic, the royals.
One already.
All right, let's flip. Chris, you get to call it heads or tails?
Tails.
Heads it is. Darryl, you get to pick the first category. Darryl, you're off to a good start already. What do you pick?
I'm gonna go with royal visits right off the top.
Okay, royal visits. The question for Darryl in royal visits is, now if he doesn't, this is for 2 points. If he doesn't get this right, we're going over to Chris for a point. Okay. So start praying a rosary or something there, Chris. Okay. Here we go. In 2015, Prince Edward was in Newfoundland. The Earl of Wessex was in St. John's in November of that year. What was the purpose of his trip, Darryl?
Boy, no, this is not multiple choice.
No, Chris gets the multiple choice in this one. You'll get a multiple choice in another
Chris?
one.
I don't even need multiple choice. I know why.
He's not gonna take it easy on his
Come
brother.
on,
right?
Darryl. Come on, bud.
He was here to hand out the Duke and Edinburgh Awards.
Correct. 2 points for Darryl.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. Now, listen, you don't get off the hook, Chris, because you get a royal visit question too.
Okay.
All right. In 1978, now when we were all just lads, Her Majesty the Queen visited Newfoundland, and she made stops in St. John's, Deer Lake, Strawberry Hill, Corner Brook, and the Stephenville Airport. She brought which two of her children with her? Now, her children are Charles, Andrew, Edward, and Anne. Which of those two children did she bring with her on the trip in 1978?
I'm going to think it was Edward and Anne.
Oh, you are so close, Chris. Back to Darryl.
I
You
get a
could
crack at it.
steal a point here.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to say, I'll say Edward and Andrew.
That is correct for 1 point. Oh, Chris, you're getting slaughtered, buddy. You are.
Thanks, Chris.
That's okay. That's okay.
So, now listen, boys. I don't know if you saw Son of a Critch or not. Son of a Critch had a great episode on the Royal Visit in the 80s when Diana and Charles came. Have you been watching the show, Chris?
I have seen it. Now I recorded last week's with the Royal Visit one, so my significant other had to go away for business, so she told me to record it, and when she gets back, we're going to watch it. So
awesome. Well, best of wishes to Mark Critch and the creators. Great show, eh, boys? It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, they're good.
All right.
I haven't missed the show. It's great.
And so Darryl got to pick the first category. So Chris, we're over to you now. The remaining categories are nautically inspired expressions, Black History Month, cod, or Gordon Pinson.
I'm going to go with Gordon Pinson just because he's so cool.
All right, Gordon Pinson. No multiple guess on this one, buddy. This is a straight up. Darryl gets the multiple guess on this one. Actor Gordon Pinson was from Grand Falls, Newfoundland, Labrador. Of note, his father was from what Newfoundland community?
Oh, he's from Dildo.
Yeah, he is. Wait, good job. Give you 2 points to Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Darryl, here's your Gordon Pinson question. Gordon Pinson has received many honors and many awards, as we all know. We're all proud of Gordon Pinson. What is he now? 91, I think?
93 now.
93. Jeez.
Yeah.
Among his many honorary doctorates, which of these schools, there's only one of them, one of the schools I'm about to list, Darryl, did not give him an honorary doctorate. Queen's University, Memorial University of Newfoundland, Western University, Lakehead University, and the University of Windsor. One of those schools has not awarded Gordon Pinson an honorary doctorate. One of them has not.
Well, I don't know, but I've never heard I don't really know Lakehead very well, so I'll say Lakehead.
Oh, that'd be wrong, Darryl. So bad.
Where's Lakehead to?
I think Lakehead is in Thunder Bay.
Okay.
He was not given, and I have to take this up with the people here locally, but Western has not awarded Gordon Pinson an honorary doctorate. So I'm starting a campaign here now on the Guam by the Guam by podcast here right now, partly based out of London, Ontario, is calling on the University of Western Ontario to award Gordon Pinson with an honorary doctorate. That will be 0 in this round for Darryl. Okay. But the good news, Darryl, is you get to choose the next category. So you're picking between cod, Black History Month, or nautical inspired expressions.
Yeah, I'm not sure about how you're saying cod there, but I think you've been on the mainland a little too long.
Well, that's probably true. I can assure you I've been on the mainland too long.
Cod.
Cod. Cod. You want me to really pronounce it like the mainland? Cod.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go with cod.
Fish. Let's just say it like we mean it's fish.
Fish butt.
Fish. All right. The outer limits of the Grand Banks are outside Canada's 200-mile limit. Both the Spanish and the Portuguese were taking significant quantities of fish from that area until 1986, when Canadians decided to deny foreign vessels fishing the Outer Banks use of St. John's Harbor for supplies and repairs. Question, what was the Portuguese fleet called?
Geez, I know this. Oh, yes, I know what it is. Took me a second.
Yeah.
They were called the White Fleet.
That is correct. Now, there's a bonus point if you can tell me why.
Why they were called the White Fleet? Well, their boats were white.
No, that won't work. I mean, we all know that. Come on by.
It seems like it makes sense to me.
Come on, man. You're not getting a bonus point.
I don't know.
They painted their boats white during the war to let the Germans know they were neutral. Over to Chris now on the fish. The Spanish, the Italians, the Portuguese, to them, fresh cod doesn't even exist. They don't know anything about fresh cod, or at least they didn't for years. And there's really no word for it, actually, in those languages for fresh fish. It has to be called fresh salt cod. Salt cod is bacala in Italian and bacalhau in Portuguese. Both of those words may come from the Spanish word bacalhau. Catalans have a myth that a cod was the proud king of fish and was always speaking boastfully, which was an offense to God. Whatever the word's origins in Spain, Lo que corta el bacalao is an expression you hear often in Spain. Lo que corta el bacalao. The person who cuts the cod is what that's called. The person who cuts the cod. And it's a colloquialism for what? And here's your multiple choice. Is it a person with a terrible odor? Is it the person in charge? Is it a fishmonger? Or is it a person with a huge heart? El que corta el bacalao.
I think it's A or C, and I'm gonna go with A.
You're going to go with A person with a terrible odor.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But of course,
It
we know
smells like the fish.
it smells like the fish. Of course, bacalao, we know, of course, Bacalao area we come from, Bacalao Trail. Darryl, what about you? That's wrong, Chris. But Darryl, what do you say?
Geez, I don't even remember the choices.
The other three choices are a fishmonger, the person in charge, a person with a huge heart.
A fishmonger.
No, it's a person in charge. Remember, the question said the king, the cod was the king of fish that was always bossing other people around.
Your question was so long, Kevin, man. I couldn't remember it.
I was wondering where the question was.
Yeah. Very good. Over to Chris. Now we got two categories left. Black History Month, nautical words, nautical expressions, actually. Black History Month. Okay. Chris, not a multiple choice in this category for you. So this is pick a number. Many Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are unaware of the role that our homeland played in the slave trade. Sadly, salt cod, fished from Newfoundland and Labrador waters, not fit to sell in Europe, was instead sent to the south, becoming an important staple of slaves' diet and an important piece of Newfoundland's economy. While the trade of cod and rum and sugar and salt is well documented and known to a lot of Newfoundlanders, a lesser known Newfoundland connection to the slave trade is the slave ships that were built in our province, then colony. According to Harvard University's online transatlantic slave trade database, at the height of the slave trade, a number of ships were built in the Newfoundland colony. How many slave ships were built? Give you a multiple guess. Multiple guess are, here's your four. Is it 5? Is it 19, 27, or is it 108?
Well, Newfoundland was known all over the world famous, as we said, about their abilities to build boats. You know, I don't know. It'd be a wild guess. What was the last one again? 100.
So I said 5, 19. I can't remember what C was, so it wasn't that, or 108.
Yeah, I would be guessing it would be a lot, probably 108.
Not that many, but it was 19, which is more than most people think. And there's quite a good historical display of that at the rooms. And it's one of those things where, again, as we're in Black History Month, something that we should all learn a little bit more about for sure.
Agreed, 100%.
Darryl, the captain of a
fine.
fishing ship called the Temperance bought a slave. The captain bought a slave in St. John's Harbor. In what year? Would it be 1626, 1679, 1677, or 1791?
He's really giving us easy questions, Chris. I gotta say. What did you say the first one was?
1626.
I'll go with that one.
Well, Darryl, boy, that will be right. All right. So that leaves one category, boys. Chris, I hope to hell I saw you zipping around on your boat on Facebook. So I hope you know something about nautical expressions.
Yeah, hold on. I know that one.
It's Darryl gets to go first this time. Yeah. Okay, Darryl, here's the expression. You can't tell the mind of a squid. You can't tell the mind of a squid.
No, you can't.
Now, does that mean squid are hard to locate? Does it mean untrustworthy people are hard to predict? Does it mean squid are famous for suppressing their feelings? Or choosing the color of a squid jigger on any given squid jigging ground is difficult?
Geez, what was the first one again?
Squid are hard to locate. Untrustworthy people are hard to predict. Squid are famous for suppressing their feelings. Choosing the color of a squid jigger on any given place is hard to do.
I'll go with A.
Ooh, you would be wrong. Over to Chris. Chris, B is right, Chris. 2 points for Chris.
That what I actually knew.
Now, Chris, you get a question too. All right, let's see if you can make up some ground here. Your tots are too far aft. Your tots are too far aft means A, you got a big belly. B, you put too much weight on your forward sled in sledding your wood out. C, you're daft. Or D, you've got really bad top teeth. Your tots are too far aft.
I'm gonna go with the sled, with the wood on the sled.
Okay, that will be wrong. Over to Darryl.
Geez, I've forgotten the choices. What was the first couple?
You got a big belly. you're daft, or you got really bad top teeth.
Top teeth.
No, you both got this one wrong. It means you're daft. Your tots are too far aft. For those who listen to this and don't know what the hell that means, is boats have tots. They're seats that go horizontally across the thing. Aft is up in the front, and so it's an expression used apparently in Newfoundland, not by these two men, to say you're daft.
Yeah.
So,
But
Chris,
In my
You
30
can-
years traveling the island, I never heard of it.
so Chris, you can see now why in the rest of the podcast I'm the one asking the questions, right?
But tell you what, the next time I pick the categories.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk about crooked
I
arse.
mean, at least get to pick the categories.
Yes, I think that's true. I'll tell you this much. This whole episode, when you listen to it, is on politicians and performers. And I got a feeling that the questions that you're going to hear out of Darryl to me, you're going to know most of the answers to.
Well, you never know.
Definitely you'll know the
guarantee
performer ones.
I did today on this particular battle. I guarantee you there's only a couple there, and they all went to Darryl.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Our next guest, world famous in Newfoundland, is none other than Tony Marie Wiseman. And so Tony Marie, crack the book as we're coming for you.
He's a sparkle. She guys lots of competition for sure.
I'm counting on her crippling Darryl. Well, Chris, look, thanks a million. What do Shanneyganock got anything coming up soon? Yourself, any projects?
Well, we're sort of waiting on the government, and we got a new record that we're getting ready to start on, and we'll have tours for sure. As soon as it's safe to do so again, we'll be back out and driving everybody cracked again.
All right, wicked, buddy. That's good. We're looking forward to that. We appreciate you taking time for us. This has been world famous in Newfoundland with our world famous in Newfoundland, Chris Andrews, and we look forward to our next segment. Now back to Darryl tormenting me and embarrassing me.
Yeah, Chris was a lot of fun, man. That was great.
Chris is awesome. Everything he does. I tell you, the one thing I never did get to asking about, but I really enjoyed was the series he did on Here and Now on CBC last year. That was great, Darryl?
Oh, it was. Yeah, the stories behind the songs. Those.
Yeah.
I saw the one that I liked the most actually was about Tickle Cove Pond. Did you see that one?
Yeah, it was incredible. They were all really good.
Yeah, they were all good. Yeah. It's Chris is great. The band is awesome. Do you have a favorite song from Shanneyganock?
I would say, well, the couple that come to mind right off the top of my head, because there's so many of them I do like, but I really love their version of the Islander. I think they call it Islander 2010 because they did an earlier version, but they revamped it different tempo at 2010.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And but the one that probably, if I had, was my go-to right now would be Great Harbor Deep. And part of it is probably living away from home and all that. I just pulls at all the heartstrings. I love Great Harbor Deep.
Me too. I think that's my favorite song. And of course, we've got a connection to White Bay as well. And
that's true.
Our grandmother came off a resettled island down in White Bay.
That's right. Yeah.
And that song, certainly a very powerful song. Do you know, just by means of trivia on Shanneyganock, do you know what it means? The name itself?
Well, to the way I remember reading it, it was about like a night creature, a creature of the night, something akin to like Bigfoot, the legendary, never really seen but heard of, that you had to sort of be careful of and stuff like that. That's sort of the way I remember.
Exactly. Yeah. Great name, great band, and great performers.
Oh, they're
so
amazing.
do you want to hear about some other performers? How about some questions on some other great Newfoundland performers?
Moses, Darryl, stop. I know that the episode was supposed to be politicians and performers, but you've absolutely rode me like a donkey on politicians. It's like, I mean, how many questions can one person?
You're getting tired, are you?
I wore out. Listen, here's a proposal. My proposal is, because by the time we put all this in the can, it's one good episode. I'm going to say long enough for anybody to listen to the two of us later on. Let's keep your questions about performers and do part 2. Next episode will be performers only.
Okay, I suppose we could do that.
You think you could do that?
Yeah.
Will you let me off with that?
Just for you, I suppose. Give you a bit of a break.
But I do want you to give me the lightning round. You will give me the lightning round, will you?
We will do the lightning round. We're going to do a little bit of a different type of lightning round this time.
How so?
I'm going to give you a quote from a Newfoundland politician.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me who said it.
Ooh, I like this.
Yeah. So there's going to be 9 of these.
Okay.
So I will give you a word bank though.
I need a word
So-
bank because it could be anybody. There's a lot of politicians.
There is. So here are the politicians that said these 9 quotes.
Okay.
Some of them are repeated more than once.
Sure.
So John Crosby,
Okay.
Kathy Dunderdale,
Mm-hmm.
John Effort,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Peckford,
Yeah.
Joey Smallwood,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Tobin,
Mm-hmm.
and Danny Williams.
Oh, Danny boy. Start the timer. Let her rip.
They don't need to go berserk. Trying to batter on doors frighten me. In the first place, I don't frighten. Now,
Crosby.
this is like Jeopardy. This is like Jeopardy. You got to wait till the end. Number 2. Someday the sun will shine, and have not will be no more.
Peckford.
Right on. Mr. Speaker, I would like to see the 6 million seals or whatever number is out there killed and sold or destroyed and burned. I do not care what happens to them. The more they kill, the better I will love it.
Johnny Effort.
Right again. And while I must deal with today, I must worry about tomorrow because I don't want it to be like yesterday.
That sounds like a Joeyism.
That is Brian Peckford. It's better to be honest and sincere in one language than a twister, a trickster, and a twit in 2.
Danny Williams.
John Crosby speaking about
that was a
Trudeau
good-
the Elder. Number 6. I am king of my own little island, and that's all I ever wanted to be.
Oh, well, I'll go with Joey.
Joey for sure on that one.
Yeah.
There's a point where people who don't respect Newfoundland and Labradorians and who don't treat us with respect will get it back in spades from me.
That's Danny.
That's Danny speaking about his meeting with Paul McCartney on
Yes.
Larry King Live.
On Larry
actually.
King Live. Yeah.
We're down now, finally, to one last lonely, unloved, unattractive little turbot clinging on by its fingernails to the Grand Banks of Newfoundland.
That's Brian Tobin.
That is indeed. Don't put words in my mouth, Prime Minister. I'm quite capable of speaking for myself.
That will be John Crosby.
That was Brian Peckford speaking to Pierre Trudeau at a
Oh,
constitutional conference. Very
okay.
famous
Okay,
rebuke
yes.
of
Yes.
Mr. Trudeau.
Oh, I'm out of time. What a great episode, Darryl. Fantastic questions, and as usual, I enjoyed myself. I hope you did as well.
It was a lot of fun.
It was good, and big shout out again to Chris Andrews, and thanks to him for joining us for World Famous in Newfoundland, and thank you to the sponsor of that segment, Crooked Arse Creations, and of course a big shout out to our primary sponsor who brings us to you, Dildo Brewing Company and Museum. And we're thankful for all of you who are listening. Keep sharing this with your friends. We're available on all platforms. There's nothing else left to say, Darryl boy, except
Go on by.